What's up, y'all? It's Lucas, aka Television Hub here, and today we're talking about my personal predictions for The Walking Dead finale and what to expect come finale day. With a show like The Walking Dead, there are just so many different things that could happen. You gotta be prepared for everything. But before we talk about any of that, I want to talk about some possibilities of character returns. I'm sure you've heard about Rick Grimes and how he might return. And if you follow my TikTok, you know how much I've been gunning for Rick Grimes to come back. I love that man. They can still pull off a fantastic series finale without him, but it would make sense to have him there. They started the show with the story of Rick Grimes. It only makes sense that they should end it with Rick as well. Another possibility is Rick's partner in crime, Michonne, my personal favorite character. Now, honestly, I am very doubtful that she will show up, mainly because she went to go look for Rick, so if she came back without Rick, it wouldn't really make much sense. Maybe she returns without him to help her people, and then she'll go look again, but I doubt it. If she or Rick showed up, it would most likely be with each other instead of individually, but there still is the possibility for post-credit scenes. A pick that not a whole lot of people are talking about to come back would be Morgan, and he is my personal pick. Now, I haven't caught up with Fear of the Walking Dead, but I'm pretty sure Fear of the Walking Dead's like 6 or 7 years behind where The Walking Dead's at now. So he could literally be anywhere right now. It's been a very long time. He could even be dead right now. I am really hoping he shows up. He is such a badass character, and a character that definitely deserves more love too. He could really help out the group with the war against the Commonwealth. I've also seen a clip in Fear where he talks about how he always felt regret leaving Rick Grimes' group. It just never really sat right with him. So maybe he'll get that guilt off his conscience by going and helping them now. Heath is also someone that no one really talks about returning. A lot of these characters returning get overshadowed by Rick Grimes. And I completely forget about Heath sometimes. He's not a super memorable character. He didn't really get a whole lot of screen time, but what makes it interesting is that he got taken away by the CRM just like Rick did. And since that was before the huge 6-year time skip, he could be anywhere right now. He may even hold a high-ranking position within the CRM. It's been so long. Wouldn't it be something if he returned as a high-ranking member or general of the CRM and just helped the group defeat the Commonwealth? That would be a hell of a storyline. Even though he wasn't a big character, it could really make for an interesting plot twist with the show. Jadis is the last one I'm going to talk about. Good old Junkyard Jadis, obviously affiliated with the CRM as we see in The Walking Dead World Beyond. Now, I haven't seen World Beyond. Yeah, I know I need to get on that. But I hear that she was a pretty high-ranking member at this point. She was the one that took Rick Grimes away originally, so it would make a little bit of sense if she returned. Now let's talk about what is definitely going to happen in the finale. After episode 23 aired, we saw a sneak peek for the Walking Dead finale, and we see some very interesting things in this sneak peek. Daryl in the sneak peek, continuing directly from the last episode, is rushing into the hospital holding Judith in his arms. Because if you remember last episode, Pamela shot Judith in cold blood, even though she didn't really mean to, but he still shot a child. Everyone helped Daryl get away from the walkers to go find a hospital for Judith. So at least we can rest easy knowing that Daryl got to the hospital before being eaten by a walker. Because it would be a real fucked up ending if Judith died in his arms and reanimated as a walker to bite his neck. Rosita in the sneak peek is stuck on top of a roof of a van or something where she is completely surrounded by walkers. She also has her baby in her arms, so she found Coco. Eugene and Gabriel look super stressed out, as you would imagine, and they're screaming at her to jump because she's close to a window. But to get to said window, she would have to jump over a horde of walkers with the baby in her arms. My only guess as to how she got into this situation would be that Coco was in the van, and maybe the walkers started getting in, so she just got on the top. But in my eyes, this confirms her death. I believe she's gonna get overwhelmed by walkers, but save Coco's life by throwing her to Eugene and Gabe in the window. It would make for a very dramatic death, but for a character like Rosita that's been around for so long, it would be fitting. They're definitely going to kill off at least one major character, so expect that. In the next frame, we see Mercer sitting in jail, which makes sense as he got arrested last episode. In the teaser though, someone blows open the door, most likely helping him to escape, and that's also expected. I didn't think Mercer was just going to sit in prison. Now, who has a history in The Walking Dead at making explosives and being good with chemistry in general?
Say my name.
Eugene motherfucking Porter. I'm sure he's gonna be the one that blows up the door of that jail cell in order to get Mercer out. It could be anyone, but it'd be cooler if it was Eugene since Mercer just saved him in the last episode. It would just be a really nice situation where Eugene helps Mercer out like he helped him. Next, we see everyone in the Commonwealth and Aaron fighting against walkers, even some of the Commonwealth guards fighting alongside him. He's screaming, "Hold the line," so obviously they're forming a wall against these walkers to protect a group of people. But it really does look like they're about to get overwhelmed. I mean, there are just way too many walkers there for them to handle. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few character deaths here. maybe even Aaron's. In this shot, we see Gabriel pointing his gun at what I imagine to be a Commonwealth guard, but another guard sneaks up behind Gabe and points a gun right at his head. There's not really a whole lot to talk about with this scene, it's pretty self-explanatory, but Gabriel is another character at risk of dying, considering he doesn't have a spin-off or anything. But if Rosita dies like I think she will, Gabriel's probably gonna live to raise Coco. I don't think they would kill off both parents of a child. We get a little more variant Walker action as we see this Walker break open a glass window with a rock, just like we see in season 1 in like the first or second episode. I want to make a separate video about the variant walkers at some point because there is just so much I want to say about them. But all I'm going to say here is that I hope they explore them a lot more in the spin-offs, which I'm sure they will. I'm not really sure why these variant walkers are being brought back just now, but I'm rocking with it, so it's okay. Because they were in season 1, but they just didn't really do anything with them. And they just disappeared. Finally, we see the shot of Judith and Daryl laying on the floor of the hospital Daryl is going to take Judith to. Daryl doesn't really look injured or hurt that badly, so maybe it was just a sedative that knocked him out. But to be fair, Judith doesn't look hurt either, and she got shot last episode, so you never know. There's a very small chance that AMC does exactly what they did in season 8 and kill off the future of their show in Judith Grimes. They killed off Carl in a decision that made many fans quit the show, and many others consider season 8 the worst season of the show. So I don't think they're gonna go down that road again. So now I'm gonna go over my official predictions for the finale. Right off the bat, obviously Maggie, Negan, and Daryl are all getting sent in the spin-off, so there's not much reason to talk about them. We know their fate, they're gonna be alive, and they're gonna either go somewhere or they're gonna go somewhere in their spin-off. I believe that Aaron is gonna die, most likely by walkers, but it honestly could be anything. As I mentioned earlier, he's holding off the walkers in the Commonwealth in the sneak peek. I just think they're gonna overpower him and they're gonna get the best of him, which is really unfortunate because he just had such a heartwarming scene with Lydia in the last episode. Rosita's death is imminent. As I mentioned earlier, I would be very surprised if she didn't die. I love Rosita. I hope she doesn't die. I wish her the best. But the fact of the matter is that I feel like they've just been setting her up to die. And after this sneak peek, this really confirmed my suspicion with her being on top of the van with Coco. And while we're on that topic, I think Gabriel and Eugene are both going to be fine. I've been very off and on with what I believe is going to happen to Eugene, but my official prediction, I'm saying it right now, is that he is going to live. I also think that Jerry is going to die. The way they sent him off telling Aaron, "See you on the other side," had to mean something. I'm thinking that him saying that is foreshadowing the death of not only himself, but Aaron as well. Maybe him saying "see you on the other side" is him talking about how they're both gonna see each other in the afterlife. Obviously, Jerry doesn't know that he's talking about seeing each other in the afterlife because he doesn't think they're both gonna die. But that might be a cheeky little detail thrown in there by the writers. It may be a stretch, but I'm rolling with it. Now let's talk about Lydia and Elijah. They're a couple that I am certainly rooting for at this point. I love them, and oddly enough, I think they're gonna be fine. You know, The Walking Dead has a thing and a history for breaking up couples, whether it's in death or them just being separated from each other, but I think they're gonna be fine. They're a young couple, and I think The Walking Dead will explore them a bit in this final episode. And I didn't talk about this earlier, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a time skip of a year or so in the final episode. I've heard rumors, and it does kind of make sense to show all the characters a year later to show us that they're completely fine, and they're living their best life after defeating the Commonwealth. I think it's pretty clear, though, that Pamela is gonna die. I mean, she's the main villain at this point. The show wouldn't wrap up without her dying. It just wouldn't make any sense. Mercer, on the other hand, you know, he was a part of the Commonwealth side, but he's flipped sides a little bit here. But with that being said, I think he's gonna die. They're gonna give him a very valiant death. He is a very respectable man. He is a very brave man. I just can't see him living. He's definitely gonna get a hero's death, either by saving the others from walkers or just the guards that are still loyal to Pamela. As far as the good old post-Rick group, I think they're gonna be fine. Luke, Connie, Kelly, Magna, and Yumiko, all of those guys. I'm starting to think that Connie is going to go to France with Daryl, kind of in replace of Carol, because she's not going to be in the spinoff anymore. If you remember, the spinoff was originally supposed to be Daryl and Carol. But I think it'd be a great idea to give that role to Connie. Now, Ezekiel is a very interesting case. He's been in quite a few near-death situations, but I think he is going to die. I know that prediction's a bit out of the blue, but he is too inspirational. They're setting him up for some type of heroic death. I'm going to feel so sad. He might be the saddest death if he does die. But man, he's just so inspirational. I can't see The Walking Dead not killing him. A weird situation when it comes to the ending, though, is Carol. She was originally going to be in the spinoff with Daryl, and I'm sure they filmed the end of The Walking Dead with that in mind. So I'm not sure if they refilmed it or just kept it, and we'll explain what happened to her in the spinoff. Either way, I highly doubt she dies because they've hinted at Carol joining Daryl in the future in Daryl's spinoff. Plus, it wouldn't make sense for them to refilm it just to kill off Carol. I don't know. It seems kind of weird. That is 6 main character deaths I am predicting in the span of a 90-minute 10-minute episode with commercials. I just hope this episode is as action-packed as I think it will be, but we shall see if my predictions come true. I think they'll have to make it action-packed to wrap up the storylines of the characters that won't have a spin-off.
And yes, I did predict The Walking Dead to have a bad ending, but I was just trying to provoke AMC. I want them to have a good ending.
Anyways, y'all, hope you enjoyed the video. This is Television Tub, signing out.